Jesus told them to feed them, the disciples had to figure out how to do it. He didn't tell them how. And the Bible says that they looked around. In fact, Luke is the only gospel that records this, but it says they found a little boy in the crowd with a lunch. And they borrowed that, the 5 loaves and 2 fish. And they donated that. The community, the multitude that was in need, donated that to the church to meet needs in the community. The resources that we often need to meet the needs in the multitude will very often come from the multitude. You didn't get that. The needs to the resources to meet the needs in the multitude will very often come from the multitude. And then after the little boy gave the lunch, Jesus asked him to give it to him. And so we're going to pick up the story from there, and we're going the wrong way. And then it says in a text for discovery, our resources must be quantified. And I guess the question could be asked, it says resources must be quantified. How did the disciples know how much bread and fish they had? Somebody had to count. And this reminds us of another key principle of philanthropic work and fundraising, and that is that we must be willing not only to do a needs assessment in the community, but we also must engage in a resource assessment internally. We must do an inventory and count what we have on hand to be able to meet the needs in the multitude. A resource assessment. The disciples quantified or counted the resources at their disposal. Developing strategic plans, taking inventory, assessing resources, submitting proposals, writing the vision. Take time to assess, and then exercise faith for the rest. Let those who feel a burden have wise solicitors to present their necessities and raise funds. You know who said this? Someone we all may be familiar with. Here's the reference, Welfare Ministry 259 and 260. Constant work is to be done, but this work is not to be made all-absorbing. The means to sustain that work should come and will come, largely from those outside of our faith. Now, I often have to put the reference there because someone couldn't believe that someone represented as the inspiration and founder of our church would write something like that. But I'm a witness. We have to become relationally engaged in the life of the community. We have to get to know our multitude. And after we develop relationships with them, then we can exchange and share resources. This has been my experience. In fact, our ministry has taken a whole 180-degree trajectory and change based on this verse. I remember pastoring and doing it the traditional way, and just preaching and ministering and doing Bible studies, and we're trying to figure out how to meet the needs in the community with the bread and fish that we had. But we realized we didn't have any. I remember a city councilman who lived across the street from our church. We became fast friends, and I want to encourage you on this last day. I want to encourage you, I'm going to give you an additional homework assignment. When you go back to your communities, I want to challenge you as a church, let's become more relationally engaged in the life of our communities. Join the Chamber of Commerce. It seems like the only projects or initiatives we support are those that have our name on it. Start a campaign for United Way. And get involved in the March of Dimes. Get involved in local initiatives in your community that don't have a direct beneficial effect on your church. When others see you engaged, when the community sees you engaged and willing to sacrifice and give, then they will be willing in exchange to support what you do.